Focused and fearless. Here's everything you need to know this rush hour of July 5, 2019. Friday, I'm Riza Diaz. We jumpstart today's rush with Malacanang giving China the benefit of the doubt that there were indeed missile tests done in the South China Sea over the weekend, or South China over the weekend. Marisol Halili reports on what the government plans to do instead.
Presidential spokesperson Salvador Panelo said the country will conduct its own probe on the supposed Chinese missile tests in the South China Sea. Panelo said the government will not rely on other sources of information, despite Pentagon's statement that China conducted multiple anti-ship ballistic missile tests in the disputed waterway over the weekend.
We will investigate pa nga, then we will make our official stand. We will not rely on the say-so of whatever source.
U.S. Ambassador to the Philippines Sung Kim called China's activity provocative, but urged all claimants in the South China Sea not to go against international practices.
We obviously urge all countries to refrain from provocative and unilateral actions that's inconsistent with international norms and practices.
Kim believes that aside from the U.S., other countries in the region are concerned about aggressive unilateral actions in the area, including militarization by China.
It's clear that countries should behave according to international norms and practices and laws. In fact, China itself has indicated that it would stop militarization, but obviously that has not happened.
Meanwhile, Panelo insists the verbal agreement between President Duterte and Chinese President Xi Jinping allowing Chinese fishermen into our exclusive economic zone is legally binding. This following the statements of Foreign Affairs Secretary Teddy Boy Locsin and Secretary to the Cabinet Carlo Nograles that the agreement is not enforceable unless there is a written document to support it.
Are you saying, sir, that their interpretation is incorrect?
Eh, ano pa nga ba eh? Kasi hindi yun ang ano eh. Hindi yun ang sinasabi ni Presidente.
Oh.
But they are entitled to their interpretation. Eh. Kung yun ang intindi nila, ano magagawa natin?
Panelo said allowing Chinese fishermen into the EEZ doesn't mean we have already surrendered our territory.
Bakit magiging surrender? They claim sovereignty over the entire area. Sinasabi naman ni Presidente, pag ginawa ko yan, baka yung gusto niyong i-protect ko mawawala sa ating lahat. Kasi pag ginawa ko yan at awayin natin ng China, magkakaroon ng hostilities.
When pressed on about the issue,
Ate, move on ka na. Ate, nandiyan pa rin tayo? Abay talagang...
For News 5, Marisol Halili, we are One News.
Former PNP chief and now Senator Bato de la Rosa is now under fire for his comments on the death of a 3-year-old girl who was allegedly used as a human shield during a recent anti-drug operation. Patricia Bangune will tell us more.
The police chief of Rodriguez Rizal and 19 cops have been dismissed after a 3-year-old girl was killed in a crossfire during a drug buy-bust operation last June 30. The police said the suspect used the child as a human shield. As part of the probe, their firearms will undergo ballistic tests.
Nirinig natin sila administrative leave to give way to an impartial investigation. The reason for such is may tinamaan ang bata. And we intend to kung nasaan sila na magkakaputukan, and based on the trajectory ng bala, may establish din kung sino talaga ang nakatama sa bata.
Senator Bato de la Rosa, a former chief PNP, says the situation was a judgment call.
Ayaw kong barilin yan dahil may bata na karga. Baka matamaan ang bata. Ganun sabihin mo. Pero naglalaro naman sa utak mo at the back of your mind. May hawak na baril yan. Tinamaan na yung kasama ko. Hintayin ko ba na akong tatamaan? So, judgment call nga niya yan. Kung priority niya yung buhay ng bata na karga-karga ng ama, o priority niya yung buhay niya.
But he said things can just turn out bad.
Hindi mo gusto man mangyari na ganun. Pero happens. During operations, happens.
PNP spokesman Bernard Banac says cops also end up being killed in operations. As head of the Senate's Committee on Public Order, De La Rosa says he plans to investigate the incident. Human rights lawyer Shel Jokno fired back at De La Rosa for supposedly helping justify shooting as a means to justice instead of arguing in the courts. The Commission on Human Rights has condemned the death of another innocent child in the government's drug war. The commission said it will conduct its own investigation, and it is also reminding the police to abide by the law. For News 5, Patricia Mangune, we are One News.
Now, 29-year-old mother Liza is still reeling from the death of her child who was allegedly caught in the crossfire of a recent drug bust. The day after her daughter died was all too clear for the grieving mother, and Liza is telling a different version of what happened. Liza says no drug bust operation took place on Saturday morning. She also swears that her partner would never use their child as a human shield. In fact, Liza claims that Micah was Renato's favorite daughter. The bereaved mother also claims to be unaware of Renato's involvement of illegal drugs and is now thinking of filing charges against the police who conducted the operation.
Inaano ko lang ho, walang human shield, walang bypass. Ulit ko, wala ho akong statement na ang asawa ko kabilang sa mga grupo na gun for hire, robbery, carnapper. Yun lang po sanang iano nyo, wala ho.
And over at the Senate, 4 legislators have filed for the revival of the death penalty in the country. Among them, Senator Bato de la Rosa, Bongo, Manny Pacquiao, and Panfilo Lacson. The version filed by Senators de la Rosa and Pacquiao will only apply to drug traffickers and manufacturers. Meanwhile, Senators Go and Lacson want capital punishment to cover plunder, rape, and human trafficking. Senate Majority Leader Mig Zubiri says the death penalty bill will be inevitable to be discussed, but believes that the chances of it passing is slim.
Magkakaroon din ng conscience vote yan. And of course, marami din mga senador na anti-death penalty. May mga senador na pro-death penalty. Magkaalaman naman yan by the time the debates come out.
And at the lower house, backers of late Representative Martin Romualdez says he has the support of at least 160 congressmen for his speakership bid. Capiz 2nd District Representative Fred Daniel Castro, Anak Lusugan Party List Representative Mike Defensor, and Albay Congressman Joey Salceda are confident that President Duterte will ultimately endorse Romualdez. Castro also rejected the proposal of Caloocan Representative Edgar Erice to conduct a secret balloting for the speakership vote. He added that Taguig Congressman Alan Peter Cayetano's proposed term sharing is already dead.
Sapagkat ito ay nagdudulot ng instability at insecurity. Like for example, meron tayong speaker, pagkatapos meron term sharing. Hindi niya na rin gagawin ng tama ang kanyang trabaho dahil papalitan naman siya.
Meanwhile, here are the biggest stories from the dailies. BSP Governor Ben Diokno warns against any move towards changing the constitution in the second half of President Duterte's 6-year term. Diokno says such moves would be disruptive to the economy since the best time to change the charter is during the first half of a president's term. He adds that it would be imprudent to shake things up now that the country is doing great amid what he described to business world as a Goldilocks economy. This from the Philippine Star. Foreign Affairs Secretary Teddy Boy Locsin says the Philippines will continue to depend on the U.S. in its commitment to defend its allies. During the Philippine-U.S. Friendship Day reception last night, Locsin linked our relationship with a superpower as our spouses. Despite Washington's flaws and how bad we sometimes wish we could live without her, Locsin says she's all we have. And circling back to the story of the 3-year-old Micah Ulpina, Filipino Star ngayon reports that 20 police officers, including Rodriguez Rizal's police chief, have been relieved from duty following her death. Calabarzon Police Director Edward Carranza says the involved personnel, including members of the intelligence unit, have been relegated to the personnel and the holding accounting unit while investigations are ongoing. PNP Chief Oscar Albayalde has ordered the extensive probe into the incident to find out whether or not the police acted with due diligence in the alleged buy-bust operation. Now, will the weather favor the transport strike next week, considering the presence of a new low-pressure area? Let's get the updates straight from Pag-asa with weather forecaster Ariel Rojas. Ariel, good morning.
Good morning, Riza. The low-pressure area, a new low-pressure area was spotted 40 kilometers east of Zamboanga City at 3 o'clock this morning. This low-pressure area has a very slim chance of developing into a tropical depression or tropical cyclone, and it might dissipate in the next 24 hours. The LPA will bring cloudy skies with scattered rain showers and thunderstorms over Zamboanga Peninsula, Bangsamoro, Northern Mindanao, and Soc-Sargen regions. The residents of these areas are alerted against possible landslides and flash floods, especially during severe thunderstorms. Meanwhile, the rest of the country, including Metro Manila, will experience partly cloudy to cloudy skies with isolated rain showers or thunderstorms in the afternoon because of localized thunderstorms. Risa?
Thank you. That was Pag-asa weather forecaster Ariel Rojas. Drivers of ride-sharing services are staging a transport holiday next week in protest over supposedly difficult measures imposed by the LTFRB. Gerard de la Peña has the story.
Hundreds of drivers and operators of Transport Network Vehicle Service or TNVS braved the intense heat and crowds at the LTFRB offices in Quezon City just to secure franchises. They are complaining that the process is slow and the policy is unclear. For instance, after lining up for a whole day, an applicant will be asked to come back with additional requirements that were not previously stated, like proof of garage or certificate of good standing from a transport network company.
Maliwanag naman po siguro na kami ay nagko-comply. Ngunit may pabago-bago pong gustong mangyari o pinapatupad ang LTFRB. So saan po kami doon lulugar?
That's why on Monday, groups of TNVS drivers and operators plan to go on a transport holiday. They said TNVS groups from Cebu and Bacolod will also join in the protest. They warned passengers that it might be difficult to book a ride between 6 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Pasensya na po kayo, ginagawa lamang po nila ito dahil darating po ang panahon na kahit wala po tayong transport holiday, no, kung mananatili yan mga pahirap policing yan, wala nang magti-TNBS. Wala tayong masasakyan, hindi isang araw, kung hindi forever.
The groups also plan to file a complaint at the Ombudsman against LTFRB officials for violating the ease of doing business law. They said it takes at least a month to be able to secure provisional authority or a franchise when the law states that similar requests should be addressed within 20 working days. But the LTFRB said there is nothing irregular with their procedures.
Kung meron pong problema sa mga ganon, hindi natin nadadaan sa mga ganong klaseng salita na ang gusto nyo mangyari, ipipirwisyo nyo yung mananakay.
The groups warned that the transport strike could last for as long as 5 days. For its part, Grab has asked its partners to refrain from doing drastic acts that could only inconvenience passengers. For News 5, Gerard de la Peña, We Are One News.
For the kids at heart out there, you may want to give your take on this. Disney has just announced a new Ariel for its live-action Little Mermaid, and fans online, it seems, are divided. Disney has cast a 19-year-old R&B singer Halle Bailey to play the beloved mermaid from its 1989 classic. Bailey herself couldn't contain her joy on the new project and calls it a dream come true. She also has gotten some support from one of Hollywood's A-list stars and her namesake Oscar winner Halle Berry. However, Bailey being casted as a redhead Disney princess still stirred some raised eyebrows from the netizens, who says that the role should have been given to a white actress. Still, there are some who defended the young artist, saying her skin and her hair color is not an issue, and that casting someone who can actually hit the right notes is perfect to play Ariel. And that's how the day is shaping up to be. Join us again next time for another round of Rush. I'm Riza Diaz. We are One News.